So, welcome everyone. I'm so glad to have all of you here today for our Changing the World event, where we get to celebrate women in engineering and gender nonconforming people in engineering as well. So, my name is Erin. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Student Recruitment Officer at the UBC Vancouver campus. I'd like to acknowledge the land that UBC has built its Vancouver campus on, which we work, learn, connect, and innovate, is the unceded, ancestral, and traditional territory of the Musqueam peoples. And I'd also like to introduce my colleague Marie today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marie, and my pronouns are she, her. I am an engineering advisor at the UBC Okanagan campus, which is situated in Kelowna, which is in the territory of the Selix Okanagan Nation and their peoples. I would also like to acknowledge that you are joining us here today from many places near and far, and acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. So today we're going to start off our presentation about really talking about what is an engineer. So I'm going to ask everyone to get involved in this question, and I would like you all to take a minute to open the chat, which can be found at the bottom of the Zoom screen, and answer the following question. When you think of an engineer, what are some things you think engineers might have created, innovated, or invented that are useful for our lives? So I'll just give everyone a minute to think about their answer for that question. So I think everyone has sort of found the chat there. So there's some great ones coming in. So machines and electronics, engines, pipelines to our cities, bridges, rocket ships, cars, power plants, comfort devices, daily problems. Oh, lots of them coming in now. Biomedical devices, cities. These are all great examples of different things engineers have created or innovated or had some sort of impact on. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this. Um, so engineering is such a fantastic career to consider. So today we're going to dive right into what engineering is all about. We have an alumni here today, as well as many current students who are going to be here to share their experiences with you about why engineering is such a great career option. So engineering really is one of the most applicable careers where you can be a part of change and have a meaningful impact. Engineering is a field where you can do the work to improve how people live, how things function, and improve our world. Engineers are problem solvers. They make things more efficient, more sustainable, easier to communicate, and improve lives through things like assistive technology and so much more. You guys listed a lot of the different ways that engineers can improve our world in the previous question. So some examples of engineering research that's currently happening at our UBC campuses include things like designing safer buildings to withstand natural disasters like earthquakes, water treatment to provide clean drinking water to communities, research into energy sectors such as batteries and newer sustainable methods of energy production, areas of medicine, such as regenerative medicine, biomechanics and injury prevention, and genetic engineering. So engineers are really able to do these things because they work as a team. The more diverse our teams are, the better our teams can function. Diversity on teams lets us solve problems that impact the entire world's population and not just a part of it. UBC Engineering and Gearing Up both do outreach to promote and expose engineering to underrepresented populations like girls and Indigenous students so that our teams of students and future workforces can be more diverse. However, I do just want to take a minute to mention that the admission process is gender blind into our programs at UBC. Anyone admitted to our program has been admitted on their own merit. We are continually working to host more events like today to provide safe spaces and representative role models to increase the number of women applying to our programs so we can continue towards gender parity. Engineering is also a very well-paying job, and a recent study by Statistics Canada shows that most top-earning graduates come from engineering programs when comparing bachelor degrees in Canada. When adjusted for age, institution, and graduation year, the median earnings for engineering degrees in the top 30 were between 70 and 120,000 for both men and women. Women in engineering are helping to close the gender wage gap by working in a higher earning field. So now I'm going to pass it back over to Erin, who's going to tell you a bit more about our programs.
Thanks, Marie. So I know that some of you here today may have already applied to UBC Engineering. Maybe some of you have been admitted, but some of you here today may not have applied yet or might be planning on applying in the future. So we do want to highlight just a couple of pieces about our programs, about what UBC Engineering has to offer you. So as you can tell from our areas of research, there are many different kinds of engineering that you can go into. At UBC, the Bachelor of Applied Science, which is our engineering degree, has a general or a foundational first year where you'll learn basic math, science, and engineering principles, and then you get to apply for the type of engineering that you want to go into in second year. Engineering is offered on both of our campuses, the Okanagan campus in Kelowna and the Vancouver campus. Both are beautiful campuses offering great engineering programs, and the main difference that you'll find is the engineering disciplines offered at each campus. So at the Okanagan campus, you'll see that we have 5 different programs that students can choose from. The difference also being at the Okanagan campus is that there are no caps on any of the 5 programs offered, including the new computer engineering program starting this coming fall. So students at the end of first year will select which program they're going to go into at the Okanagan campus and will proceed into that program. At the Vancouver campus, we have 14 different engineering programs that you can specialize in, with some of the programs offering options and streams to further specialize. A lot of our courses and research overlap in the different programs since engineering is a very interdisciplinary field. So several of these disciplines can actually lead to the same field of work or even potentially to the same job. You'll learn about each discipline in your first year of engineering during that foundational first year. And at the end of your first year, you'll go through competitive placement process to begin in your discipline in your second year. Now, just some kind of pieces about admission so that you have that information. Students should plan to apply to UBC in their grade 12 year or in the year before they plan to begin at UBC. We highly encourage students to apply by December 1st, but the final deadline is typically January 15th of that same year before the September that you plan to start. Applications to begin in September 2025 will open up in October. Applications to September 2024, this coming September, are already closed. So in addition to applying, obviously you need to meet the requirements. And so there is the UBC's English language requirement that most students who are studying in Canada for at least 4 years will already meet no problem. UBC also has some general requirements to meet, like graduating from high school and the recommendation to take at least 6 courses at the grade 12 level. The degree-specific requirements at the Okanagan campus include these grade 12 courses or their equivalents. And for a full list of the requirements, you can check out our website, ylou.ubc.ca. That will list all the provinces and every country as well. The Vancouver requirements are very similar. However, there is an additional requirement to meet a minimum of 70% in grade 11 or grade 12 English. And you can see that we are also specifically looking at those grade 11 and grade 12 results. So you'll notice BC students are required to have a grade 11 language. And that is specific for BC students coming to the Vancouver campus. But you'll also see the other courses from, say, Alberta and Ontario that I have listed here. But again, you can also go to our website to see any more provinces or other countries that you may be joining us from today. Now, once you apply, there's so much to look forward to. So from the very start of your degree, you'll be exposed to hands-on design projects where you work in teams with other first-year students. You'll continue to have courses year after year that continue to build on those project-based team learning experiences. Some capstone projects have actually become startups or have allowed students to secure jobs upon graduation. Students interested in research also have the opportunity to gain paid research experience, or you can participate in clubs like the Undergrad Research Organization that helps pair students with areas of research they're interested in. Later on in your degree, you can also customize your studies by choosing to pursue a minor, which is a secondary area of study. Totally not a requirement, but an option if you'd like. You also have the opportunity to gain paid work experience through our co-op program, which you can apply into at the beginning of second or third year. This helps students gain work experience while getting paid really well and gives you a competitive advantage when you graduate. You can also consider going abroad to work, research, or study in your third year. Now, while school is a great way to explore your interests, I also want to appreciate the power of community. So, by learning about the experiences of your peers, instructors, and UBC staff, you may be able to learn about an interest or career path that you never even knew about. I mentioned our design teams and clubs quickly, but there are lots of clubs to get involved with at UBC, whether you want to join something related to engineering or something completely different. There are literally hundreds of options at UBC. We also have the engineering undergraduate societies in Vancouver and the Okanagan, and our EIDEAs, which is Engineering Inclusivity, Diversity, Equity, Advancement for Students clubs for members of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, women, Black students, Indigenous students, and Chinese students. If you want to get connected to our community after today, I encourage you to start a chat with one of our UBC engineering ambassadors. These are current students that can talk to you about student life at UBC. Some of our mentors that will be here today are also ambassadors. We also have the amazing engineering stories team on whichever your favorite social media platforms are that you like to go on. They have over 8,000 followers on TikTok and over 12,000 followers on Instagram. So go ahead and give them a follow, help increase those numbers for us. They post videos multiple times a week about what life is like in engineering on both campuses. So here's a little bit of some contact information for you. We're going to share more about this at the very end of the event as well. But we have lots going on today. Now that we've given you a bit of an introduction to UBC engineering, you'll get to hear from one of our alumni, you'll get to hear from current students. And at the end of the event, there'll be time to hang out in our breakout rooms with our current students so that you can ask them all your questions about what life is like as a UBC engineering student. So I'm going to stop sharing my presentation. I'm going to invite Marie and our alumni Shabnam on to start the alumni panel.
I'm really happy to be here. I want to talk about how I got where I am. I do have a very technical engineering position right now, but the part of my story that I want to share the most is that I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I had no idea what engineering was, and I sort of fell into it, and it's been great, and I don't regret it at all. So if there are some people among you who still don't know what you want to do or what you want to get into, don't worry, you will figure it out, and there's just so much to do. And for me, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I got into engineering just because I was interested in math and sciences. And very slowly, there are so many structures within UBC engineering that helps you figure that out. It's just one question at a time. You don't need to have your entire path in front of you. You just need to figure out one question at a time what you want to do. So because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I first started, I have a Bachelor of Applied Science from Integrated Engineering, and that was like the perfect degree for me. I started in integrated engineering, took a little bit courses here, a little bit courses there. And then once I really figured out what I wanted to do, I went for a Master's of Applied Science at Electrical Engineering, also from UBC. I knew all along that I wanted to be in clean tech. I was really interested in solar. I think when I was your guys' age, solar was, a little bit further off than it is today. Right now, actually, if you look at my neighbor's house, they have solar cells on the roof, but back then it was like a technical question that still needed to be answer. So I was really into clean technology. I really wanted to stay in that, and that's what I did. And something very, very cool that came from UBC is that after I finished my education, I started at a startup who was doing some solar affiliated technologies, and that entire company started from UBC Engineering. So it was a startup, and it started from some projects that UBC Engineering sets up for engineering students to do with business students. I think it's called a capstone project. It's a really cool opportunity, and some of my cohorts actually got together and did this, and that turned into a company. And we worked at that company, and we managed to make hundreds of thousands of this product that is even today is installed in people's houses who use solar, as well as their electric cars. So it's one of the biggest electric car manufacturer that everybody knows in Silicon Valley. And it was very exciting. It was very exciting for me to go and see their factory. And all of that happened in some of the projects that were facilitated at UBC. So luckily for us, and after all of our hard work, also that company was acquired. So not only was I able to see all of that, but I got to see what it's like for a company to start from only a few people and then grow and then get acquired by even a bigger company. So now what I'm working at a quantum computing startup, also based in outside of Vancouver called Photonic. It's in Coquitlam. And we are making a quantum computer. And maybe, some of my own friends don't even know what a quantum computer is. So if you are interested, feel free to ask me some questions and I can tell you more.
That's great. Thanks so much for sharing. It's such an interesting story. And personally, for me, that's such a, I love working on vehicles. And so I was so inspired by you sharing that you were able to do that throughout your degree and be able to go and see those plants. So we do have some questions, a whole bunch of questions actually that are coming in here for you. But before we start with those, I was wondering if you could explain what integrated engineering is.
Yeah, so integrated engineering, actually, when I started, it's in second year of existence, I believe. So I was like the second cohort that entered integrated. And it was a discipline to figure out you could take courses from different engineering departments, but as well we had a project course that meant that only the integrated engineering students, we got to pick our own project and we got to work on it for a full year. And the most interesting part for integrated engineering for me was that even though we had set curriculum, so there were courses that we had to take, we had way more flexibility in courses that we wanted to take, our technical electives. So not outside of engineering, but within engineering. I believe at the time I started, I don't know if it's still the same, but we could take 6 courses outside of the set curriculum, which meant that we could custom make in a way our own path in engineering. And even then I knew that I was really interested in renewable energy, and that's what I did. I put together all these courses. I took 2 courses from electrical engineering. I took 1 course from chemical, which helped me with batteries. The electrical courses I did were power, and also I believe there was maybe 1 in nanotechnology at that point. And then there was a couple courses that I took from different departments, and they all came together to give me a really cohesive background around renewable and solar, which I wanted. And then I took that and I did my master's.
That's such an interesting program in engineering to be able to combine all like many different programs into one degree, because as we know, when we go and we work, engineers are all working together. To have that background is quite a unique and interesting experience. So thank you for sharing a little bit more into how that integrated engineering pathway led you into your career. So one of the first questions here we have from the participants is, what challenges have you faced because of your gender identity when pursuing engineering?
Oh, that's such a good question and such a complex question where I feel every time I look at it at different phases of my life, I come to a different answer. So I did my degree in about 20 years ago. So I think that my experience will probably be a lot different than students going in right now, because when I went into engineering, even the intake of women into engineering was lower than it is now. And ever since then, I've kept up with it, and I see that the intake is getting higher and higher. So the more women you have, obviously, the more there's a support system and there's a structure. So something that really exciting that I want to share with you is that at previous companies that I've worked at, maybe I never had any woman that had positions higher than me. So maybe I was the highest engineering. Maybe there was one coworker, But right now in the company that I am right now, 3 out of the 4 executives are women. And we have board members, directors, managers, we have all levels. So within my team alone that I manage, we're almost 50-50 women. So it wouldn't be true if I said that I didn't face challenges because of my gender, but it's something that I think in the long run of my career, maybe it didn't matter as much as sometimes I thought it did.
It's great. Well, thanks for sharing your perspective on that. And it's really great to hear the number of women in leadership within your company. That's quite inspiring. And that actually leads quite well into my next question that I have for you, which is, can you share a specific achievement or project in your engineering career where being a woman brought a unique perspective or approach that contributed to the success of the endeavor?
I have some feelings around it. I'm a manager right now. I manage a big team. And sometimes it does feel like some of the qualities that are more stereotypically female, maybe they have contributed, but also that doesn't mean that just because I'm a woman, I've had them. I feel like those qualities are for everybody to have. Everybody could be empathetic or better listener or work better as a team, but somehow we've come to think of those as more stereotypically female, which maybe that's a perception that we also have to change.
Well, that's definitely some great feedback and perspective on that question. Thank you so much for sharing. I do have one final question for you here. So as a UBC engineering alumni, what advice would you give to current students or prospective students, especially women, about navigating and succeeding in a male-dominated industry, both during your studies and in your professional career?
My big advice is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, because by being afraid, you're self-censoring yourself. If you're afraid that you're going to fail and therefore you don't try something, you're already making sure that that thing doesn't happen. I feel I give this advice because I myself did that. And in retrospect, I wish I was more brave. Um, for me specifically, the one that I keep thinking about are courses that people told me, oh, this is too hard. This is, I remember sometimes people being like, this is even too hard for women. This is too hard for girls. You don't need to do that. And perhaps I listened to them, maybe I didn't, but that's just bad advice. If you have some things to pick between and some part of your brain is curious about something that maybe has a perception of being more difficult, just push that aside. Always do the hard thing is my experience. Because once you come out of it on the other side, you're better for it and you grow.
That is great advice for all of our prospective students here today. And we really appreciate you taking the time today to share your story and answer some of their questions and just give us a little insight into your engineering pathway and all the great successes and challenges that you've had throughout your studies and your career. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so
Great.
much, Shabnam. You're welcome to log off, and we're going to have our panel hosted by Taye join us on screen now. Thanks so much, Shabnam, and really loved hearing more from you.
So hi everyone, we're gonna start student panel Q&A session right now. Welcome to our current students who will be part of the panel. We have 4 student panels today, Sahaj, Elise from the Okanagan campus, and Tumi and Mary from Vancouver campus. Student panels, you can turn on your camera now to join me on screen. So I'm so excited to have some of our current students to share more about their student experience today in our student panel. A reminder that after this panel session, we'll be giving you some time to ask even more of your questions in smaller breakout rooms with our mentor volunteers. We'll start each student introducing themselves, their program year, and what you love most about UBC engineering. So Tumi, you want to start first?
Sure thing. Hello, everyone. My name is Tumi. I'm a first year at UBC Engineering in Vancouver. And the part I love the most about UBC Engineering are the fun hands-on projects we do and the focus on real-world applications.
Thank you. Mary, you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Mary. I finished my third year of academic terms last year, and I'm doing a year of co-op right now in Calgary. I'm at the Vancouver campus, and I'm in biomedical engineering. One of my favorite things about UBC engineering is being surrounded by passionate people and having the opportunities to work in the real world while I'm studying engineering at UBC.
Perfect. Sahaj, you want to go next?
Hi, my name is Sahaj. I go to the UBC Okanagan campus and I'm studying civil engineering. I'm currently in my third year, so I'll be graduating next year. And I would say the things I love most about UBC, I guess specifically regarding the Okanagan campus, is the endless amount of opportunities given to us as students.
Elise?
Hi everyone, my name's Alice. I'm wearing my special UBC engineering hoodie today. I'm a second year mechanical engineering student from UBC Okanagan as well. And what I love most about UBC engineering are all the interdisciplinary topics I get to learn about.
Since we have lots of future students here, I want to know what it was like when you first came to UBC and how you made friends and got used to life as a university student. To me, I know you're a first year student, so this might be something that you just experienced. Do you want to share about your experience when you first came here?
Yeah, sure thing. So I first came to UBC for Jumpstart. It was my first time being in BC, so I was really excited to get to know people and like explore the environment. My experience with Jumpstart was a lot of fun. We were in a cohort of around 20 to 30 students with upper year engineering like leaders who helped us get a feel of the campus and also answered any questions we have. I also got to meet with a professor who was doing some really cool research, and we had conversations about that too. So I found Jumpstart really valuable for me. At first, I found it a little bit difficult to make friends in residence because I was pretty shut in and focused on like my academics. But I got involved with clubs like the African Awareness Initiative, my design team, Sustain Engineering, and on the residence like House Council, and which really helped me make friends with some passionate and wonderful people. Outside of like my social life, my experience with academics at UBC was a really gentle transition because I had a lot of AP credits that I applied, which lightened my course load. But I also really enjoyed the coursework that we did. My favorite class was and still is AppSci 100 and 101, where we work on various hands-on projects. My favorite of these projects is where we design a mechanical claw completely from scratch using sheet metal to pick up objects in this competition. And I found that to be really fun. So yeah, that's my experience so far.
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. Now, Sahaj, what are your passions that led you to choose engineering? And also, how did you end up choosing civil engineering? Did you have a specific interest in civil engineering even before you came to UBC, or you made up your mind after the foundational first year at UBC?
Yeah, so I would say my story is kind of interesting because when I reflect back to first year, I remember asking the girls in my classes, "Oh, what made you guys pick civil?" And so I came across three main responses. One, they were more kind of, I guess, tomboy type of girls, like they love doing lots of outdoor stuff, lots of like to dealt with like infrastructure, had a big interest in bridges and like tunnels and all of those things. Two, a lot of girls are just very nerdy and they really liked math and physics and everything. And then the third response I would commonly hear was a lot of these girls had parents that worked in the construction industry or environmental areas. And I just remember not relating to any of those three responses. So for me, I remember in high school not knowing at all what I wanted to do because I was I was a very girly girl. Like I played sports, I played field hockey and soccer, but in my free time I'd want to paint or go shopping or do nails or just hang out with my girls. And my parents were in business. My dad was an accountant and my mom was in HR. So, yeah, I didn't really know anything about engineering and all the fields were open to me. So I guess how I approached it what in high school was I just took a piece of paper and I wrote down all the main disciplines in university, like sciences, arts, business, and right. So I tried to eliminate all of them and see which one best suited me. So right off the bat, I was like no to sciences because I didn't have any interest in biology or research or wanting to become a doctor. And then then looking at arts, I thought a lot of my friends wanted to become lawyers and stuff. And I remember specifically not picking arts just because I felt like it was too common and I wanted to be different. I don't know if that's a good reason, but that's what not made me choose it. And I'm not super into reading or writing. So then it became between business and engineering. And that was really hard for me because like to make that decision because for business, I love the management side. Like let's say if we're in class and we have a group project, right? I'd be the first person to talk and say, because everyone would be kind of shy, and I would say, okay, hey guys, how do we want to start this? How should we divide the parts? So I really like the management side of business, but then for engineering, I always thought I was really creative and I loved physics. Like I know when I would be bored, I would just be drawing like 3D boxes and creating like a pyramid or prism. So I was really into drawing and I like physics. I wanted to like pursue a career where I could be creative. So basically that's when I came across civil engineering. I thought it has both the management side and there's the whole design side, creativity side. And like in the career, you'll get to manage construction projects. So I saw like the whole vision come to life, like whether it's like a shopping mall or a bridge. So I got to yeah do the management side and design it and be creative. So yeah, right going into university, I knew I wanted to do civil engineering before my first year. But then during first year, I made a lot of friends that like my entire friend group basically wanted to do mech. So I remember at one point I was kind of considering mechanical engineering, but I went with my gut and I picked civil going into my second year, and I'm really happy with my choice.
Yeah, thank you. That was a long journey. And then next question is to Mary. So how inclusive is the UBC engineering environment for women and non-gender conforming individuals based on your experience or thought?
Yeah, so in my experience, UBC engineering has been super inclusive. I'm pretty lucky in the BMEG program. There's a pretty even ratio between men and women. So that really helps. And I think just being a woman in STEM, whether it's engineering or sciences in general, there's sort of a camaraderie of being a woman or a non-gender conforming individual in STEM. Like we kind of look out for each other, I think. Well, that's been my experience so far. Yeah, and I think what our guest was saying earlier, just talking about diversity and having unique perspectives, I think being a woman in STEM does bring that unique perspective. So I think if people are able to see the value in that in like group projects, for example, it can really be an asset. And I think it, for the most part, is felt that way. Um, yeah, as we move forward, there are more and more women um, getting interested in being able to practice engineering, which is really exciting. And if you are interested in the stats at all, there is stats on the UBC website about the percentage of men and women in the UBC engineering programs, which I think is really interesting as well. I hope that answers your question.
Tumi and Sahaj, how much free time do you have, and what are some things that you do to spend your time? Tumi, do you want to start first?
Yeah, sure. I can definitely start. Um, this semester, I don't have nearly as much free time as I did in my first semester, but I still find time during the day and during the week to dedicate some time to go out and explore Vancouver or to go attend some programs or local events that are happening. For example, I'm involved in an organization called City Hive, and we do a lot of programming to encourage youth age 13 to 30 to get involved in like urban planning and civics and local government. And I'm really just amazed by the amount of like grassroots organizations and then like the social work that's being done in Vancouver. And that stuff really energizes me. So I try to make a lot of time or as much time as I can in my week to get involved with social programs and volunteer work like that. So I really enjoy doing that. And sometimes I go down to the beach when after a rough midterm or when I'm feeling a little down and I watch the sunset or the sunrise and it usually calms me down and makes me feel pretty great. So if you end up coming into UBC, I definitely recommend doing that and exploring downtown Vancouver and all the awesome work that's being done there.
So I would say in first year, I didn't have much free time. I was really focused on my studies and making friends. So if I did have free time, I would be trying to hang out with the new friends that I made, like maybe just going to the dining hall and getting food together. And like how Toomey said, some other events that would be happening at UBC, I would just attend them for fun, like a little ones here and there. But I would say definitely now, in my third year, I have a lot more time. I joined a bunch of clubs. I joined two dance teams. That's Indian traditional dance, which is called Bhangra and Gidda, and I've never done it before in my life. And that's what I love it about UBC Okanagan is there's always opportunities to join things that you've never done before. So yeah, we have performances coming up every weekend. So I really love that I got to join these clubs.
Awesome. So next question is to Elise. What are some of the best hands-on or learning experience you had as an engineering student at UBC?
I did quite a few project courses while I was still in school. So I think for me, that acted as a primer for when I applied to co-op at the end of my first year or beginning of second year, like Erin mentioned. And I think co-op might actually be my favorite hands-on learning experience because, for example, the co-op I'm doing right now, I work in materials R&D, and for me, it's super interesting to see all of the concepts and the theory that I learned in school, or let's say from my materials mechanics class, translated to a real world problem in industry. And it also helps that you get paid for it. So, that's a nice bonus on the side. But I think maybe while in lecture, things might seem a bit monotonous at times. You definitely won't feel that way if you go into co-op.
Cool. And also to Alice, I know you did co-op and also did working on campus. Also doing a minor in computer science seems like a lot of things are going on. So I'm curious how you balance your study, extracurricular activities. How do you manage your time and stress?
Yeah, well, you're right. I do purposely put a lot of things on my plate because, like I said, one of the things I really like about UBC is I get to learn about all these different things and not just go purely into mechanical. But I think when I have a lot of things on my plate, for me personally, my friends like to joke that I'm Dory from Finding Nemo because I don't have the best memory. So even if it's super small, like I need to buy garlic tonight to cook myself dinner, or I have a quiz due in 5 hours, I need to write everything out. And I have this specific tracking tool that I use to see all the tasks I have to do for that day. And I also plan tasks that I have to do in advance. And for me, as someone that forgets a lot and also forgets quite easily, that's been super helpful in managing my time and stress because I know that everything I need to do is laid out. And it also makes me less stressed knowing that I got everything out on the paper. But I think the way that people manage stress is different, and I think that's also something that you will find as you go into university. I think everyone has their own natural way of adjusting to things, but that's my personal Dory way.
Before ending the session today, I just also want to take a minute to say a big thank you to our panelists and mentors who joined us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your experience with the participants of this event. And we also wanted to say a big thank you to everyone, all of our event participants who joined us here today. We appreciate you also taking time out of your day today to learn about our engineering programs and just come chat with us. So if you have any questions after the session today, please do not hesitate to reach out to Erin or myself. Erin is going to be putting our email addresses into the chat as well for you guys to write down if you have any further question about our programs. Erin and I will also stay online for a few extra minutes if anyone has any additional pressing questions that they would like to ask us. For everyone else who had their questions answered or needs to go, thank you again for joining us today, and we hope you have a great rest of your evening.